Not how that works. Go ahead. I am. Record. Go. You are so welcome. Okay. Mortgage application process. What's a mortgage? Sam.
It's the stuff you pay on, well, never mind. It's your loan that you pay on to pay for your house.
There you go. It's a loan to buy your home. That's exactly right. So we're going to be talking all things mortgage today. Some information, some vocab, some costs that you might not know that you had to pay when you take out a mortgage to buy a home, right? So that is our very first vocab word. A mortgage is a loan taken out by people to purchase a home. There are many types of loans that you could buy a home with, and there are many types of fixed-rate mortgages, and there are many types of adjustable-rate mortgages, I'm sure. But we're just talking about the difference between those two. So a fixed-rate mortgage is a loan that has an interest rate that you think it changes or doesn't change. Fixed means doesn't change, right? So what do you think the adjustable-rate mortgage might be then? Yeah, if you adjust something, you change it, right? So the fixed rate mortgage, on a fixed rate mortgage, the annual percentage rate is fixed. And remember, that is very often abbreviated as the APR. You 100% should know that. You guys have been doing research on buying a car. We've talked about other kinds of things. So APR is something that you'll see advertised as a way to sell you someone's product. The fixed rate mortgage, and it remains the same throughout the entire term of the loan. And we said the adjustable rate mortgage, on that loan, the APR may change as specified in that contract that you signed for your loan. And it's usually tied to some variable bank rate or some other financial instrument or measure that the bank and you have agreed on. All right, so these are some other terms you should be familiar with before you start shopping for a home or a mortgage to buy a home. Market value. Does anybody know what market value means? Sam says yes. Oh, that's exactly right. What it is. Isabel said it's the value for which you can sell the property for. So it's the current value for which a property can sell. If you've ever gone to a restaurant and you want to buy the fish or something like that, fresh catch of the day, they'll say market price. That means whatever that's worth, that current value today, it might change, right? Just like the market value of a home can change definitely from year to year, sometimes month to month, right? What people are willing to pay may change over time. The assessed value is an amount used to determine the property tax on a home or a property, and it's usually not the same as the market value. I think they're much more conservative. They don't change that assessed value as much because they are charging you a percentage of that assessed value as your property taxes. So they can't be overvaluing or changing that value a lot because you pay those property taxes for 1 year or 1 year at a time. Escrow. Does anybody know what escrow is? So an escrow, often called an escrow account, is an account that holds part of the money that you're going to actually owe to live in your house, but it's not actually part of your loan payment, right? So in this case, what we're talking about is an escrow account is a separate account. You're going to pay money into the bank with your mortgage payment, right? You're borrowing, let's say you borrowed $200,000. Let's just say to make our math easy, that's a $2,500 a month payment on that loan, right? Well, to live in your house, you also have to pay taxes property taxes each year on your house. Just like when you go in to buy a $20 shirt, you can't go in with just $20 because you have to pay tax on that, right? So you're going to pay that monthly payment to pay back your loan, but you're also going to have to pay a certain amount to cover your property taxes for that year. And you're going to pay a certain amount each month to cover your insurance premium for that home each year. You don't actually own a home when you're buying that home. Until you make that last payment, really the bank owns that home, right? So they insist that you have insurance in case something happens to that property. They don't want to be out of that money, right? And you have to pay for that insurance. If you let that insurance lapse, then they can foreclose on your home, right? So they insist that you pay them the premium for that insurance, and then they pay the premium for you. So every month you pay an amount to pay back the loan amount. Every month you pay a month's worth of taxes, and every month you pay a month's worth of insurance to the bank, and they put the taxes and the insurance money in an escrow account. Does that make sense? Okay. So, an escrow is a separate account with bank. Oh, I hate it when that happens. A bank account that holds part of your monthly mortgage payment to save for annual taxes and insurance. Each year, your bank estimates what you're going to need for property taxes, and they estimate, the insurance is a little bit easier, 50 cent premium usually year to year. But the property taxes can fluctuate from year to year based on that assessed value, which is somewhat connected to the market value of that property, right? So they can estimate what they think you're going to owe at the end of the year, and they pay all of that at the end of the year for you. But sometimes they don't collect enough money from you. Sometimes they collect too much money. If they collect too much money, they'll put it toward the next year's payment. If they don't collect enough money, sometimes you have to make a separate payment to them to cover that. Does that make sense to everyone? What's a foreclosure? Sam?
That's when the bank takes your house and they sell it.
That's exactly what it is. If you can't or don't make your payments for whatever reason, you could have made, I don't know if you could do 29 out of 30. I think they'd have to be pretty lenient with you there. But in theory, you could have paid 29 out of, well, certainly 29 out of 30 years on a mortgage. And if you stop paying, even though you've paid almost all that mortgage off, if you stop paying those monthly payments, they can take possession of your house. They'll sell it. You don't get any of the money. They take all the money even after you've paid all those payments. It's kind of like if you heard of somebody having their car repossessed, same thing, except they'll actually come and pick up your car with a tow truck. You can't really do that with a house, but they can have you evicted from that house. Eventually, they can have the police move you out of that house. Also, it's a credit score killer. Foreclosure, when a bank takes possession of a home and sells it if the owner can't pay the mortgage. You can drop your phone in your backpack if you haven't already. If you still have your phone out, just drop it in your backpack. You can listen to your music in a minute when you're doing your own stuff for a little bit, but so the notes, the worksheet, and the desk notes assignment from Friday, they're all going to be due on Monday, all right? So you don't have to go home and finish all the notes tonight here. We have plenty of time. If you want to do some of it tonight, great. If you want to finish your notes at the beginning of class and do the worksheet tomorrow during class as well, or start it, you can do that. So I gave you the worksheet in case you're not going to be here or whatever, but the worksheet's not due until Monday either. Everybody good? Everybody understand that? Uh-huh. All right, so this is where I'm going to pause and let you guys do some of the do-it-yourself things. This is a link. It's going to give you the average cost of a house in the U.S. I'm going to set my timer for 20 minutes, I think, that you worked for 20 minutes on the do-it-yourself part. So that do-it-yourself part, which you may or may not finish when I start talking to you again, but you can finish it tomorrow, is all these boxes here on the ongoing costs. So there's an article here linked. You can read through that article and then fill in this table. And when we come back together, I'm going to start here talking to you about the actual math problems, okay? So I'm setting my timer for 20 minutes. You all work on the do-it-yourself part. And I'll talk to you in a minute. Okay, so we're going to start here. Get my light turned on. I'm not going to work this example with you. I don't actually think you really need my help with it. But it talks about Amanda buying a house. The house is worth $500,000. It asks you to give an approximate amount for how much you should save for the upfront costs. It tells you the upfront costs they're referring to are the down payment, the closing costs, and some moving costs. 8%, 4%, it's 8% of what the house is worth right there, $500,000. 4% of that home's value, $500,000. And then $1,500 flat fee. Does that make sense? What do you think the moving costs might be? Anybody have any idea of what it might cost you to move into a new home? Brianna, were you stretching or raising your hand? Okay. Did you know sometimes you can put down a deposit just to turn your utilities on in a home? So when next year when you're maybe renting an apartment for the first time, there are fees associated just with that kind of thing. Renting a truck to move your stuff in, that's a very vague number or title there, but so remember, what's the operation? Add, subtract, multiply, or divide when we're finding the percent of a number. What do we do? Sam? Multiply by that percentage rate, right? Or percent, whatever they tell you. We have worked with this monthly payment before, compound interest monthly payment. Today we are going to be using it again. I implore you to use the Desmos calendar. I linked it to your home page here in Canvas, so you do not have to go looking for it. It's right here. When you open it up, it's going to look like this. Right now, I'm telling you, the very first thing you should do, Colby is listening to me, I think. Kind of turn sideways or upside down, but don't forget to start with that fraction button, and then everything in the top of this formula is going to go in the numerator. Then you're going to click down into the denominator and put everything down here. But remember, if you're finding the monthly payment, you're going to need to know the principal amount, the interest rate, expressed as a decimal. How do we turn an interest rate into a decimal? It's usually a percent. It's given as a percent, right, Reagan? You divide it by 100, and that you can move the decimal places, the decimal point 2 places to the left. But just dividing by 100 will help you remember it. And then T stands for the number of years. So we're not plugging in for M because that's the unknown. That's what we're finding. We're plugging in the principal amount everywhere there's a P. We're plugging in the rate as a decimal. Everywhere there's an R. We're plugging in the time. Everywhere there's a T. Be careful when you're entering these on the calculator with exponents. In particular down here, you're going to enter an amount up here and make sure you get down out of that exponent before you subtract 1, or you'll be subtracting 1 from your exponent. Does that make sense, Iana? Okay. So our first question, the one we're going to work together, is an example concerning a fixed mortgage rate. Heather's planning to buy a home and would need to borrow $190,000 from a bank over a 30-year period. If the APR is 6.4%, what will her monthly payment be? So just like when we did these before, I would like for you to identify the parts that we know, the parts that we don't know. The part that we don't know is the M. That's the monthly payment, right? But the part that we do know, we know the P. What's the P, Colby? What is P? What is P in this problem? Yes, 190,000. What is the T in this problem, Jay?
30 years.
Yes, 30. And what is the rate in this problem, Richard?
6.4.
Yes, but as a decimal?
0.064.
Yes. Okay, and then we're going to plug that into this formula here. I did it on the decimalist calculator, which is how I would like you to do it. So remember, I started with this button. Oh, I got to get off of that, though. That's not right. Started with that button, and I entered everything in the top. Then I clicked to the bottom, and I entered everything in the bottom. Colby, you're supposed to be writing this, buddy. You're having a hard time focusing today, I can tell. So P for principal, that's the 190. R, this is where the R is in the formula. That's the rate. Now this 360, we could have also put 12. Where's the times? Times 30. I could take the 360 out there. That's how it is in the formula. When it was entered, worked out on my notes, they went ahead and multiplied that. So it doesn't matter where you do 12 times 30 or you do 360 there. Does everybody see? Those are the same things, 12t. Make sense? Okay. So 360 are the number of payments made right there. Anywho, also remember you need the same number of opening parentheses as closing parentheses. So you get 2 parentheses on the left, you're going to need 2 on the right. Same thing up there. When you plug everything into the formula, you find that her monthly payment will be $1,188.40. Colby, honey, are you writing this? You're supposed to be writing this in your notes. Brianna, you already got it written?
Yes.
Thank you.
You want to simplify it?
You're rounding it to the nearest one penny, right? So 2.46, is that what you mean? Yes. So there's another example just like this, following this example in your notes, and you're going to do that one on your own. I do have one other example, so I'm going to pop over pretty quick. I know that some of you are a little bit behind, but remember, we're going to do this again tomorrow too, so I will put it back up if you need it again tomorrow. So it was really designed to help you with the next problem. So are you caught up? Anybody need me to hang out for another second? Okay. And the next problem we're going to do together, so this is the one you're going to do on your own, just like the one we just did. This is another finding a percent of a number of a value problem. You should be able to do that on your own, both of those. This is the one we're going to do together. It's also not hard, but got some of our new vocabulary in it. We're figuring the escrow payment. We're figuring out how much money that Kevin and Kathy are going to have to pay to their bank, National Trust Bank, every month. It'll be the repayment of their loan, the monthly payment for their loan. It'll be the monthly payment for their taxes, and it'll include a monthly payment for their insurance premium. So it says the bank requires them to pay their homeowner's insurance, property taxes, and mortgage in one monthly payment. I don't think there are any exceptions to that. If you borrow money, you have to pay all those things to them. And then they distribute your money for property taxes and insurance. They want to make sure it gets done. Their monthly mortgage payment is $1,233.56. Their semi-annual property tax bill is $5,206. So how many times do they pay $5,206 in 1 year? 2 times, that's right. If you can't remember semi truck is half of a big truck. semicircle, the half circle, semi, they pay every half year, which means 2 times a year, they're gonna pay $5,206 for property taxes, and their homeowner's insurance bill for the annual homeowner insurance bill is $1,080. The question is, what is the monthly payment that they have to pay to their bank every month? So, we are going to go with the best way of work here. Convert everything to annual if it's not already given in a monthly. We're going to convert everything to annual, and then we'll divide it back out to make it monthly, right? So in particular, I'm talking about this semi-annual property tax bill here. The semi-annual property tax is $5,206. If we convert that to the annual taxes, we just multiply that by 2. The insurance payment is already given as an annual bill, $1,080. We're going to get the total, so in the escrow account it's going to be this $10,412 plus the $1,080, and then we're going to convert that total escrow amount of $11,492 to what they have to pay per month. So the escrow amount for the year divided by 12 will give us the amount they owe for the escrow items every month. So you take that $11,492 divided by 12, that's what they have to pay every month, plus their mortgage payment, or the loan part of their payment. So this is the monthly escrow due. This is their mortgage payment. Add those together, so escrow plus mortgage, the monthly escrow plus the monthly mortgage, gives you the monthly payment. Tristan?
Is that 95 or 98?
957.64. Oh, 67, my bad. Totally not the number you were confused about. And so, that monthly payment, even though their mortgage payment is only $1,233.56, they actually have to pay to live in their house every month $2,191.23. So that's something to think about when you're starting to buy a house. The loan payment is only $1,233. That sounds pretty good, but that is not all the costs associated with living and buying a home and living in that home each month. So. Okay, anybody have questions for me?
The two before this were just like this one, right?
One before that is just like the one we did together, right? Some of them are just find the percent of a number. If you read them, they're not that the big complicated ones. Maxwell, do you have a question?
Not really, I'm not sure.
Oh, that's it for me. Unless anybody else has a question, do I need to go back to any of the other screens? Hunter, did you get them? All right, so then work on the rest of the notes. We've got another 5 minutes before we pack up.